Awesome. Hi, everybody. I am Ria. I'm one of the co organizers of GDG Surrey. I myself am a data scientist. I work with the Pacific Salmon Foundation, and I'm here to present for today's event. This is the third event of its kind in our virtual series, and we're so happy to welcome Kevin today.
Thank you. Thank you so
There should be
much.
a little bit of applause at this point. Um, About GDG Surrey, we are an independent organization. We are funded by Google, and we run these events where we can talk and share our love for tech. We have met amazing people along our journey in the last 2 years, Kevin being one among them. Thank you so much for being part of this organization for so long. Yeah, and I hand it over to you, Kevin. Feel free to introduce yourself and
Yeah.
take it from here.
All right. Yeah. That's great. Let me see. How can I share my screen here? There you go.
There should be.
All right. Uh, I have so many tabs open that I don't even know which one is. I think this is it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Do you see my screen
Yeah,
yet?
yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone who's joining today. Sorry for being late. I think that's part of the, the emotions for today, for today's sessions. But I'm very excited. I'm extremely excited about what we're going to be talking today. There's a couple of videos that I'm going to be sharing on this slide, hoping that they can be heard. But if not, don't worry. I'll share those video links. But the whole idea for today is I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the two worlds that I've been combining during my entire career. I've been working in technology for over 15 years. I started my career as a developer, working in digital agencies, working for software companies. I've worked for IBM, Microsoft, Google, many other companies. And in parallel, I also been captivating my creative part because ever since I was a kid, I loved films. I was just passionate about how films were made, how stories were told, and I wanted to do that in my own career. So what happened there is after I was already working in tech, maybe in my 6th year of my career, I had a stable job. I was doing good. And I said, I want to pursue this dream. I want to study film school. I want to see how our films are made. I didn't know that all of those two things were going to be combining in my later future, which is what's happening right now. I'm a um, a developer advocate, and what I do in my day to day is I create film, create videos, captivate developers into learning, into having awareness, into growing their career. And so the whole idea of what I do right now is pretty much what I learned in my career as a developer and also in my career as a film which I participated in multiple films, either as a camera operator, either as a DIT, which is an interesting role in the film crew, or either as a video editor and color grader. So I'll talk about these elements, and the whole idea for today is just going to be a sneak peek. I'm not going to give the entire workshop step by step because the whole idea is that I'm going to be in person in Vancouver for the Death Fest on November the 20th. And my goal is for being there in person and give this workshop step by step. So I'm going to be working with you hand by hand in your computer, building these things together. So today I'm going to showcase the process. I'm going to give you a QR code so you can download the code that I'm going to be sharing today so you can try it out at home. But the whole idea is that you're not going to be doing this together with me. I'm just going to showcase how to do it, a little demo, and then hopefully I'll be in person next month in Vancouver. Okay. If you have any questions at any time, let me know in the chat. I know there is a chat over here, so let me know and I'll be more than happy to to start answering your questions. um so yeah, let's go. I wanted to start with this video. I don't know if the video is going to have sound, but I wanted you to take a look at it and just give me your thoughts on the chat. What do you think about this video? So let's
I
just
tried
play
to
it
prank
out.
a bear in a chicken suit, and it's not funny anymore.
Today I'm doing the dress like this in the Middle East challenge, the plague, for views, baby.
What's up, guys? Today I'm diving straight into lava for the views. NASA, get ready, Noel. And if this hits 10K likes, I'll land it too.
My lawyer said no. Whew. My viewers said go. Woohoo!
Okay, this is happening.
Okay guys, today's challenge is simple. Keeping these kids calm with ASMR.
The government said I shouldn't touch this, so I'm gonna lick it for likes. I'm going for the world record, Jad. 100 flies straight down the hatch. This is it, guys. Haha, we're rebuilding the pyramids right here in America, brick by brick.
So I don't know if you could.
I tried to prank.
Let me see. I don't know if you could hear the video sound. Hopefully you
Yeah,
were
we
able.
could
But
hear it.
oh, that's great, awesome. So that's one of the videos I wanted to share just initially, and now let's see this other video that I have here, and I wanted to share with you all.
So at my last job, I was working across several different groups. You know what? Let me practice that one again.
Okay, when you're ready, tell me about the job that taught you the most.
Okay.
Well, it was a role where I learned to take constructive criticism.
I think she like, oh, nope, doesn't like it.
Okay. I got pretty used to, working long hours with a small team. I got very comfortable multitasking. And I had to become really organized.
Not bad, but try rephrasing your answer to sound more.
Right. Okay. I was asked to make a lot of quick decisions and do a lot of negotiating. One more book.
Talk about your experiences working with others.
Oh, well, I'm at my best when I'm collaborating. If it's for the team, I'll do whatever it takes.
This job description you shared mentions on-the-job training.
Well, I am a fast learner. I don't always have all the answers, but I get the job done. No matter how long it takes. And I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. But most importantly, I show up every day, no matter what.
All right, last question. When it comes to work, what motivates you?
I guess knowing that people can depend on me. And knowing I can depend on them too.
That's a great answer. Sounds like you're ready.
Hey James, thanks for joining us.
It's good to see you all. I've been looking forward to talking.
So great. This second video is the other one I wanted you to see. Let me just move to the next slide. And I wanted to ask you in the chat to be real honest about which one did you care about the most? Like which one did you made you want to see more of it? Which one will you remember tomorrow? And the answer is probably the second one. And I did not pick a Google advertisement video just because this is a Google event, but it's because when I saw this video, this is a 2019 video about the Pixel phone, and it really captivated me because it is a story that honestly, it moved my heart. I do not have kids, but I do remember when I entered high school, and my dad was pretty emotional about it, and anyone can convey to these feelings of, when you take your kids, or even you were taken as a kid to the first day of school or the first day of university. And, that feeling of going into this new journey and the parents now getting their kids away from home, like all of that is what really moves people. Now, what's the problem with the video in the first shots? Those videos look amazing. Like right now, we are getting close to not differentiating with an AI video versus a not AI video. But the problem is that none of the people who are generating these videos know nothing about storytelling. It's just digital noise. So I'm honestly tired of looking at videos on the internet about Michael Jackson fighting with Donald Trump, or I'm sick of it. It's just nonsense. And the reality is because we give this technology to people who don't understand how videos are created. So right now, the reality is everything, all of this is just visual candy. It's just a dopamine hit that is forgotten 3 seconds afterwards. My goal for today and for the upcoming session in the Google Dev Fest in Montreal, and also in Toronto, and also in Vancouver, is to specifically teach the basic principles of storytelling, the same principles that all of your movies that you love were made, and how you can drive that into using video and Vertex AI and Gemini, create things that really have a meaning. Because honestly, all of these videos are just spending resources, like server resources, energy, power, water, just for crap. Because that's the reality. It's just a slop that is ending up in Instagram or TikTok. People are going to watch it for 3 seconds. Maybe they will have a laugh, but it had no impact on people's life. I'm driven by sharing stuff that changes people's life. So this is the reality. AI is non-deterministic, and the reality of it is that you will not always get the same results with the same prompts. That's why it's non-deterministic. And second is that LLMs are basically trained to please us. So anything we ask it is going to try to please us. And obviously, we're going to feel good about the results. But the reality is, if we are not a conscious director, like we are going to be the directors of our movies, of our videos. And so we're going to get inconsistent characters, incoherent videos. There are no emotional arcs whatsoever that impacts people's life. And at the end, it's just random impressive shots, which is what we saw at the beginning. Yeah, it's cool to see somebody flying throughout the buildings in New York City. But what is that? I mean, what is the message behind all of that? So here we have the opportunity to make something different, to make a difference. You now will have the same tools that made those meaningful videos, but you are going to learn what the second video had. We have the chance to make something that stop the cognitive dissonance, because the reality is, without the storytelling, it's just visual noise. So by the end of this specific presentation, we're not going to make just a cool video. We're going to be making something that matters, something with a soul. And that's my goal for you today, to learn what is behind a good story and how you can drive that not only to creating a video, but also even your next presentation, your next meeting with your boss. Like, storytelling is what drives people emotions, and it's very raw. So that's where we're going to be learning today. Like I said, I am a Google developer expert in Google Cloud, also in AI and workspace. Those are 3 different categories that I've been working on at the Google Cloud spectrum. Currently, I'm working as a senior developer advocate at AppSmith. AppSmith is a low-code platform it's open source for building internal tools and dashboards, and it runs on Google Cloud and multiple clouds. And I've been working, like I said at the beginning, for IBM Watson, for Google, for Microsoft, for Nintendo. But I also participated in a few films as a camera operator, as a DIT, which is the one that manages all of the assets. When a shot is done, I'm the one in charge of making the backup of that scene, then processing the shots and sending that to the editing or the Video Village team. And I'm also a certified colorist and video editor. So what we're going to be just looking at today, first of all, is a little bit of more theoretical content, just storytelling principles, script writing, and prompt engineering. Then we'll move to Gemini and video and use those principles into Gemini and video. And then we'll grab the videos that Gemini and Veo is going to generate for us, and we're going to be editing that, doing some basic color grading. And I don't expect you to learn everything today. Just a little bit of sound mixing to, again, just try to tell a story, because it's not just visuals. We'll learn a little bit about color and about sound as well. So what is the autonomy of a great story? It turns out that most of the films that you have seen have a structure. And and this structure has a common pattern. Now, not all of the movies have this common pattern. There are different movie styles, have different styles, different structures, but most of these are going to be using the same structure. Now, there are multiple ways. We can talk about the hero arc, we can talk about the anthologies arc, but all of these have kind of the same structure, which is there's always a hook at the beginning. It's something that grabs our attention and establishes the world. Basically, we're telling the viewers, this is the context of this particular world. In Spider-Man, we saw Peter Parker. He's studying at the university. He likes this girl. He's not super famous over there. Nobody really likes him. That's the world of Peter Parker in Spider-Man. So the first beginning of a movie is just general context, so we can kind of connect with these people. The people who enjoy this particular movie is because it moved them. And actually, I wanted to ask you, everyone who's watching this presentation, I want to like in the chat, what is your favorite movie? And the reality, I'm going to put mine very soon. And the reality is none of us, or it's most likely that none of us will say the same movie. And the reason is we don't have the same favorite movie, all of us, because we are moved by different stories. We are moved by different hooks. And it's because of the context particular movie maybe connect with us in a shape or form, So at the end, most of the stories that we know, most of the movies that we know have a hook. Then the struggle comes. This is basically the problem statement. This is basically what's moving this particular character. There's something happening to these people. Always there's some sort of conflict. So this is where we introduce the conflict and we raise the stakes. Peter Parker gets bitten by a spider, and then he no longer needs to use his glasses, and then he's some kind of weird muscle guy. This is what's happening right now. We're introducing conflict, and he's not knowing what to do with this particular power he's getting. Or also we can talk about Harry Potter. It's kind of the same plot, or the Lord of the Rings. There's always this particular struggle that is starting to change the character's life. Now, we're not going to make a full movie in this particular shot, but my proposal for today is just we're going to be showcasing a person who is going to some sort of struggle. We don't know what it is, but we're going to see this person going through this particular struggle and then the breakthrough. This is where the climax happens. It's the moment of change and realization. This is obviously the most intense part of the movies, or the most sentimental part of the movie. It doesn't have to be like a superhero movie. I actually don't enjoy superhero movies so much. I also enjoy other type of movies where the character is evolving itself without the need of a antagonist, or without the need of an evil portion that is attacking this person. I always enjoyed, for example, Asian cinema, because Asian cinema is where you see like the character developing itself, is growing against its own particular issues. Maybe it's trying to overcome a conflict or overcome some sort of addiction. Like we see these people progressing in their lives, but it's just themselves fighting for themselves. At the end, that's a breakthrough. That's the climax. And then we have the takeaway. Now, the takeaway is where we see the character after this particular breakthrough. Basically, this is where the life of this particular character changes. And what I really like about the takeaway, and this is something that one of my teachers said, the biggest thing about the takeaway is that this character is no longer the same at the beginning. This character is no longer as the one that we saw on the hook. And for me, that's beautiful, is because we see a transformation. That person, that character cannot longer be the same one as what happened before the struggle. So that's why we kind of enjoy movies, is because we see these stories of people going through the struggle and the breakthrough and then becoming something completely different. So at the end, that's the anatomy of a movie, of a film. Now, turns out that when I was in film school, there is this huge portion of the career where you learn how to write a good scene, how to write a good script, or how to write a good screenplay. And let me tell you, when I'm learning about prompt engineering, I realized it's the same stuff. The same principles about writing a good prompt is the same principles about writing a good scene. The idea is that you want to establish the settings, the characters, the actions, and the mood. So what is the DNA of a good scene? If we see it from a script writing perspective, you want to set up a clear objective. what is going on in this particular scene. That's the first thing. Then what's the obstacle, if is there any obstacle facing the character. Then the visual details. We have to be very detailed about what can we see in this scene, and not only see, like what even can we almost smell. Like we can explain what smells like and what that generates into the particular character emotion. Then the emotional tone, like is the character happy or is it going throughout a breakthrough, and then the action. Now I remember one of the things from one of the teachers that I got. He said, I was describing a scene and I said, character A enters the room and he looks sad. And he said, that's crap. That's not a good scene. How do you explain somebody sad? Like, we all can talk about the characteristics of somebody being sad, but you cannot just say to a director, oh, the person is sad. No, you have to say, what are the particular facial expressions? What are the particular hands movement? How is this person walking? Is it walking slowly? Is walking in circles or in a correct direction? Like, what is the particular anatomy of these particular sentiments? You cannot just say the person looks happy or they look small, because you're going to get very generic results. So it turns out, like I said, that the structure for prompting for a good scene is the same one as writing a shot, and is the same one as writing a good prompt. So we're actually going to be a director. Yeah, I see what Sonia is saying on the chat. Using stage directors like a play towards camera angles. That's reality. Also, I see the comment from Dino about Japanese anime movies. I love anime. Like I love all of these Studio Ghibli movies because again, it's one of those movies where we have the arc of not an antagonist, like not there's no evil person fighting this particular character. It's the character itself evolving and living all of these magical portions of the evolution. So what is the anatomy of a good prompt? Basically, we first start with cinematography. We define what the camera work and the shot composition is. Now, I'm not expecting you to be really good at this, like to talk about, a 35 millimeter lens or a 20 millimeter lens, but at least we can say an open shot, a medium shot, or a close shot, a close-up shot. With that, we at least explain our video generation tool, what exactly we want, what type of angle we want to put on the camera. And also we say, where is the camera shooting from? Is it shooting from a high angle, from a low angle? Is it completely at the same level of the character? Is it an umbrella shot? Like all of these things matter when you are telling a story. And let me tell you that this is important from telling stories that matters. When we look at the second video from Google, like all of these shots, they're not invented because the director said, I'm going to put the camera here. No, all of them are telling this story. And we don't know, but at the end of the movie, we kind of feel these emotions. And it's because the camera movement and the camera placement are actually helping to support the story. Okay, so the cinematography is important. Then we tell about the subject, who is the main character? Or what are we talking about? Maybe it might not be a character. It might be a bottle. It might be food. Whatever it is, we have to identify what the main character is. Then the action, what is happening in this particular scene? We have to describe exactly what is going on. Then we have to give a lot of details about the context, the environment, and the background element. Like, what do we see here? Is the person in the room? Is there a closet? Where is the light coming from? Is it night? Is it day? What is this person wearing? The clothes also tell a lot about the story, about the character. All of these matter. And then the style. We have to define the aesthetics of the shot. Are we looking for a futuristic type of style, like neon lights, like, futuristic style? Or are we looking for something more analog, like 35 millimeter? Or are we looking for something more like in the medieval area? Like you have to give some type of information about the style. So all of this is really important to define a video that matters. You might be saying, well, I don't need all of this to create a video in Google View or in Sora. Yes, but again, we'll come back to the same stuff at the beginning. We will be just creating digital noise that has no intent, and that is not good. So here's an example. Let's take a look at an example of a well-suited particular prompt. And let me tell you, if I gave this particular prompt to a film director, to a director of photography, that person will say, this is a great shot. I can literally shot this. I can give this to a makeup artist. I can give this to a director of photography. I can give this to somebody who manages all of the clothing. It talks about everything. So let's take a look at it. Medium lower shot, that's the cinematography. A tired corporate worker, slim and tall, African American, dressed on a suite, rubbing his temples in exhaustion, grabbing his head slowly and taking a deep breath in front of a bulky 80s computer in a cluttered office late at night. Just with that, I bet you can all imagine how this looks like. And this is great because we're using our brains. I hate when we just leveraging AI and we're not using our brains. This is great. We already imagine what's going on. Now, the scene is lit by a harsh fluorescent overhead light and the green glow of the monochrome monitor. Retro aesthetics, analog and anamorphic, shot as if on the 80s color film, slight grainy, and then a slow handheld camera movement around the character. So we talk about it. We talk about what is the shot establishment, what is the cinematography, who is over there, who is the character, is slim, is African American, is tall, is dressed on a suit. Now we're talking about even, what the person is wearing. That tells a lot about the person. We could say a corporate worker, but what is a corporate worker looks like? Rubbing his temples in exhaustion, grabbing his head. We're explicitly saying what emotion, what explains the emotion this person is having. And then we tell about the aesthetics. It's in the 80s. We kind of imagine what type of computers we're talking about. It's not a laptop. It's not a MacBook Pro because we're in the 80s scene. And so I guess that with that particular description, you all can imagine how this shot looked like. So let's take a look at it. I generated with this video just a few seconds ago. So that's the shot. It's just 8 seconds, but it's doing explicitly what we just said, exactly what we wanted to. Everything that is here is correctly taken by Google View. Okay. Yeah, I know that AI have some flags about racial stuff, about stuff like that. But the good thing is we're going to be using the API, the Vertex API. And there are some less limitations with it compared to just using like the standard browser, either on Gemini or either on Veo. So we're going to be interacting with all of these tools with the Vertex API. And there's other things we can change over there. For example, the moderation. We'll take a look at that in just a second. So now let's put all of these learnings into action. Let's start using Nano Banana, Veo 3, and Vertex AI. Let me explain a little bit pretty quickly how's the process. We are going to create a character first. We need to define who the character is. Now, we can do that with Gemini, but again, right now, as of today, I feel that Gemini is not the best for creating a character because I feel like the skin textures and the way it's creating, for me, it doesn't look that particularly real to start from scratch. Now, there's a tool called Rev, I don't know how to pronounce it. And I found that this one is way better because it's meant to be used for this particular goal. It has perfect skin texture, and I just love it. So we're going to use that just for creating the character, because then that character is going to be used for each of the scenes we're going to have. Then, so we're going to use Gemini 2.5. We're going to use Nano Banana with that character as a reference. And we're going to generate the initial frame of each of the shots using Gemini with the Vertex API. Then, with that initial frame generated with Gemini, we're going to use that initial frame to create each of the scenes using that as a reference. Then, once we have all of the scenes done, we're going to go back to DaVinci Resolve, which is the video editor I'm using. It's completely free. You can all download it. It might be kind of hard to understand at the beginning, but it has a lot of professional tools and it's completely for free. You don't have to put a credit card or anything. So that's why I recommend it. We're going to stitch all of the shots together. And then we're going to be using some sound mixing, some color grading to have a final shot that has more consistency. Okay. So this is the QR code that's going to take you to the code lab. This code lab has all of the code that I'm going to be explaining. I recommend you to scan it right now. I'm also going to share this presentation with the organizers, and that person will share that with you. I just recommend that you scan it and save it. Do not run any of those because right now it has my Google project ID on it. And so you're going to be spending my credits. So please don't do it. But the only thing you will have to change is pretty much just the Google Project ID. And you can use the free Google credits. So if you don't have a Google Cloud credits right now, you can just use any other Gmail account. You have never signed up for Google Cloud. Create a new account. It will give you $300 credits to start with, and that's enough to run this particular workshop. You don't have to put your credit card or anything, so that's great. The other thing is, here is a recommendation that I can use for generating the prompt of the examples we're going to be using today. This doesn't mean that you all have to use the same example that I'm going to have. It's just, if you want to follow along, this is my example. It turns out that my story is very similar. It's very simple. There is this particular old man. He's sitting on his couch on his living room, and he has in front of him a letter. We don't know, and we will never know what the letter is about. But we don't know that this letter is important. It's in front of this person, and he's going to open it. Then we have a flashback of this particular person, younger, fighting with his father in the same room with the letter on the table. They're fighting, but we don't know what they're fighting about. Then we go again to the present. This person is walking on some sort of, we can say the sea, or we can say like a port with the letter on his hand. Then we see that person putting the letter on a bottle, and the person throws the bottle into the water. Then we see this person's face. We see he's crying, but he's crying with some sort of satisfaction. He has overcome this particular emotion that this letter was affecting that person. It's something related to his father. His father is no longer in his life, but we do know that he has overcome this particular sentiment that he's living. Now, I like this story because it's very open. We don't know what the letter is about. We don't know what happened in this person's life. And I like that kind of story. I hate the movies that all it finishes with a happy ending. I love open endings for movies. And I also come back a lot from the Asian cinema because that's the type of films that I love. Like, for example, I just finished a few movies. Perfect Days. It was a Japanese movie, and I love it. And my wife was like, what is the meaning of this movie? Like, there's the end. What is the end? That's the beauty of it. You understand what you want to understand from the movie. It's a story, but you get the gist of it as is your life. So I love this type of open-ending type of stories. So that's the prompt. Like, if you want to use it, that's fine. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. You can also start using your prompts the way you want it. So let me share my browser so we can see the entire browser. I think this is it. All right, there you go. So once you scan the QR code, it will take you to this Google Code Lab. And basically it has the code that we're going to be generating everything that I explained. So like I said, you have a Google project. You can use the free credits. As you can see, I am using the free trial, which is $300. And just for this sake of testing, because I've been testing this, obviously, I've spent $10 of it. And I've done a lot of videos already, so it's a lot. It's good enough. It's basically enough. The one thing that we need to know from this particular page is the number of the project ID. We need this to put it on the Google Code Lab, okay? The other thing we need to do is enable the Vertex API permissions. The way you do that is just use here. You find Vertex API, and you just enable it. I already have it enabled, but it's really important that you have it enabled. And that's pretty much all that you need in terms of the Google Cloud project, okay? So now let's go back to the Code Lab. So the Code Lab, like I said, it has all of the different structures to generate the story I just explained to you. If you want to have your own story, just change the prompt, which is what we're going to be doing right now. Now, let's generate the character. Like I said, I like Reve or Reeve, I don't know how to pronounce it. I mean, look at this image. It looks so realistic. So if we ingest a realistic image into Google Veo as a starting point for our scenes, then we're going to have a better scene because we ingested a good character at the beginning. But if we start with a very fake, character, we're already going to be set up with something that's going to be very fake. So let's give it a shot again. I'm just going to say the same prompt that I put it on the presentation. You don't need to pay to use Rev or Reve, whatever the pronunciation is. And again, for me, it has sometimes better results than just using like ChatGPT. I don't know. It has this like realistic characteristic of it. So it's going to generate some example for us, some ideas. Some of them we might like, some of them we might not. For this particular one, I kind of like this one. So let me just download it. Let me see here. I'm going to download it. And I'm just going to put it a name. I'm going to call it character tree. I already have my character. Let me show you my character very quickly. Here in my browser, let me see my characters. Here's my character. So this is my character. I also generated it with Rev, okay? It's really great. Like I see his skin texture, his eyes is very realistic. The hair is great. That's why I like it. So I'm going to be ingesting that into the Google Code Lab. I have it here. But for the sake of testing, let's also ingest this one so we can see how cool it is that we can generate an entire new film by just changing the basic prompt character, which is great because all of us are going to have a different movie at the end with different characters, although the kind of story is the same, but the character will be different because that's the naturality of non-deterministic AI, right? So let's take a look at the code. The code is the same. It's the same. It's repetitive. So let's just take a look at the code. Here we're just importing the Google libraries, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, just importing the Google from generative AI, the generative AI types to generate the configuration for the images. And here we're importing the OAuth so Google can authenticate with my Google account. Obviously, it's important that you use the same Google account in this code lab that you're using in your Google Cloud project, because that's how Google is going to authenticate. If you use a different project ID on a different Google Cloud account, then where you're running your Google Code Lab, that's going to be a problem, okay? And now here I put my project ID, which is the one that we saw here, that we saw it right over here. Then what's going to happen in here is we're going to creating we're authenticating. Here it is, authenticate, nothing fancy. Then we're telling generative AI from the Google library to generate a new client instance. And we're going to say true to Vertex AI. We're going to pass the project ID as a parameter and then the location. I'm just going to say global so we don't define a particular location, US East or whatever. Just leave it global. That's fine. Now the character, the subject image, this is where we tell where is our character image. We just uploaded here. Here we have the character or character tree, which is the one that we just generated here with Reve. Let's just use the character that I have for now. The one that I showed you at the beginning, which is this guy right here. And now we generate a new instance. We open the image, and now we generate a new image instance, basically calling the generate content from generative AI. We're telling which model we want to use, basically the contents of it. Here, we're passing the image that we want to use as a subject, and then we're telling the prompt. Here is where the prompt that we're passing for the first scene. And I'm telling generate a photorealistic image of a middle-aged man sits alone in a wooden table in a small sunlit apartment. Morning light filters throughout the dusty blinds. In the table, there is a letter. This is my first shot for my first scene. And then some configuration, we want to generate an image. And then we just basically save what Google Nano Banana generated for us, basically. Just save it for each part that we receive in the stream. And then when, if in case there is an image, we display it. In case there is no response, we just say, there was an error, there is no response. So let's run it, let's run this piece. So what's happening here is taking my character, which is this one right here, and it's going to use the prompt that we set, which is a particular person is sitting on a wooden table alone in a sunlit apartment. It's morning light, filters throughout dusty blinds. In the table, there is a letter. And here it is. Doesn't look like the character, right? Let's use the other character tree, which is this one that we have here. That's the beauty of non-deterministic, right? Let's use that other character to see if that kind of looks similar. Generating images obviously is faster than generating videos. We'll see that. There you go. Now that's better. So we got this guy here, and it changes the illumination in the background because it looks like like morning coming through the window. And now we have the letter here. This is great. So now let me just save this image and let me store it somewhere here on my projects. Let me just save it in the downloads. That's fine. Now we can generate the second scene. This second scene says generate a photorealistic image of a flashback. The man in the reference photo, younger now, arguing with his father in the same room years ago. Faces tense. The letter rests torn on the floor between them. Let me change the character here to be character 3. And let's run it. So I should have my scenes right here. This is the scene that I generated early today in the morning. So this is the character, and this is the scene 1. So as you can see, they're very different. So our movie will be very different. Right now, we're generating a totally new image with a totally new character. Although the story is kind of the same, it's completely different. So here it is. This is the younger himself fighting with his father who looks alike like him, the same room, and the letter is on the floor. So let me save this image over here. So that's my second scene. So what's going to happen right now is we're going to be doing the same for all of the scenes. Now, I'm not going to do all of that for the sake of time, but I'm going to use the ones that I generated before. This is my scene 1. This is my scene 2. This is him younger fighting with his father with the letter over there. This is my scene 3. He is walking towards the this particular port. Then the scene 4 is him putting the letter on this particular bottle. My scene 5 is him in front of the sea, about to throw the letter on the bottle. And then the last scene is him in the sunset, looking at the sea. And this is going to be the initial frame for the shot. Now, this is great because, as you can see, just by changing the character input, a whole different story with a whole different synetics on it, but the prompt is the same. So you can do that at your home. Generate your character the way you want it, with Sora, with Veo, with any image generator, that's fine. And then use that as your basic for your prompts and run all of this. Here we have the other scene. Here we have the other scene. Here we have the other scene. And now we have the 6 scenes that I just showed it to you. Now let's start with the videos. Now we have the scenes. Let's start with the videos. So let me upload my scenes here. Let me go to my project, my scenes, and here I have all of the scenes, the ones that I should show you. And let's see the video code. The video code is pretty much the same. We authenticate, we tell what project ID we're going to be using, we tell it to use Vertex AI, and when we have a prompt. Here, we're telling a cinematic, realistic, middle-aged man sits alone in a wooden table in a small sunlit apartment. We're starting with the same scene 1 script. Moonlight lights filters throughout the dusty blind, camera movement. Now here, since we are generating a video, we are going to start talking about camera movement. Camera movement is slow zoom as is open in an old wrinkled envelope, a letter from his late father. So that's what's happening in this scene. And what is the starting image? The scene 1, which is the one that we just uploaded here. And now we tell the operation to basically generate a new video, to use this particular Google Veo model to pass the prompt that we just said, what the image is going to be, the initial image scene, and then the configuration of the video, the aspect ratio, if we want it horizontal or vertical, the number of videos we wanted to generate. It can generate more than one out of this particular API call. This is great because compared to just using the Veo on the browser, it has a lot of limitations. And as you can see, for example, the images, it doesn't have like the watermark from Gemini. Like that's a lot of the benefits we get from using the API. Then the duration is seconds. The maximum is 8 seconds, but you can say 6 or 2 seconds, whatever. The resolution, it can go up to 4K. Obviously, it's going to spend more tokens. Then the person generation, adult allowed. So here, by passing this setting is where you can pass other prompts like the ones that I mentioned, like African American or Indian or whatever, sometimes in the browser it has these limitations, so we don't generate like weird type of videos. But using the API, it has more allowance. Here we generate and enhance the prompt true, so it's going to enhance our prompt and then generate audio true or false. In this particular case, we say yes. And basically, once it's done, it's going to save it as scene1.mp4. So let's run it. If anyone has questions, let me know. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to generate a scene of a girl navigating throughout the home, flying in a tornado with those tools you're talking about. Well, I mean, you can generate whatever you want, but what's the story behind it? What are you going to tell about this particular story? Yeah, the allow adult tag is very, out of curiosity, how easy it is to continue a scene. So that's why we are generating scenes for each particular initial shot. So since we're using the same scene as the previous scene, so if you see the generation of the images, we are passing the previous scene image as also as a parameter. So you can not only pass just one image, you can pass two. So that way, each of the scenes has consistency. Like in this particular scene, if you see this one, it's kind of the same room, and we're looking about it's going to have an all grainy look. And this is what we're going to be doing in DaVinci Resolve, because not everything is perfect. So I want to show you how, for example, in this particular video, when he has his flashback, we're going to add more graying, we're going to add some halation and some other effects that tells the viewer that there was a flashback. We're looking at an old memory of this particular person. This is something that, for example, AI is not the best at it right now. Maybe in the future it will, but right now it's lacking. So in theory, we still running, okay? Still running. It's not done yet. As I said, the videos might take more time. Right now we have 1 minute and 43 seconds. So let's give it a shot. While that's happening, I'm going to be opening DaVinci Resolve so we can move quickly and show the last portion. Let me see. Here it is. Cool. So it is stored here. Let me download it. And let me see if I can bring it to my browser so you can see it. Yeah, here it is. There you go. It's perfect. It's doing exactly what I needed. It has the right expression on this face. It has the emotion that we need. The camera movement is exactly as we wanted. It's a perfect shot. It's respecting what we got on the scene one. So that's the beauty of having a scene as the initial shot and the scene coming from a well-created character. Again, if you give crap to an AI, it will give you crap. So to start with, create a good, consistent character, then create a good, consistent scene initial shot, and that will give you good scenes generated with Google Veo. So I'm not going to run all of the scenes because obviously, like I said, it's going to take time, but I already explained what the scenes are about. We saw the scenes. This is basically the scenes. I already generated it with Google Veo. So now let's jump to DaVinci Resolve and do the last part, stitch them together. Let me see, where is DaVinci Resolve? Here it is. Awesome. So DaVinci Resolve is a video editor. Is used by Hollywood for a lot of movies, and it's great. But it's at the other side, it's also very simple to use. The first thing, once you open DaVinci Resolve, you have all of these tabs. Do not be confused by all of these tabs. It's very complicated, but just go to the Edit tab. This Edit tab right here is where we just bring our files. We just drag and drop them, and here I have it. And just by double clicking, I can see the videos. Let me just make this smaller here. So here's the scene 1 video. Great. This is the scene 2 video. There you go. Here we have the scene 3 where he's walking and he's getting on his knees with the letter. Then he put the letter on the bottle. Then he walks towards the edge of the port. throws away the bottle, and now we have the last scene where we see his emotion. And this is beautiful because we can see his tear and everything. I love this shot. The emotion is particularly what I wanted. We see some sort of confrontation in this person, but it's also kind of sad, but it's also kind of happy. He's overcoming whatever happened in this particular letter. It's beautiful. Yes, you can use this for commercial use. I see your question, Billy. So now let's just drag and drop this to stitch them together. So let's we drag and drop this to the timeline. Right now, we drag and drop the second scene to the timeline. Let's make sure to. There you go. Now we drag and drop the third scene. Boom, next to the other one. Then the scene 4. We continue doing the same stuff. Let me make this bigger a little bit here. Now the scene 5. Now the scene 6. Beautiful. Now we have the video pretty much together.
How could you do this? I feel like you don't attach light together.
Perfect. Now, let's go to the color tab. The color tab is here. You can kind of see it. And here's where we're going to do some color grading to it. Now, this particular scene that we have here, like I said, it's like a flashback. So this might look very complicated, and it kind of is, but I don't want you to feel that it's complicated. What I'm going to be doing is just applying some effects. This is like editing a video or a photo. It's nothing too complex. Here on the effects, I can find the effects, and there's one called Film Look Creator. Now, the Film Look Creator, it helps us to give a film look to a particular shot. It's very, very self-explanatory. So we drag and drop it here to this particular node and allow us to apply some changes. So the first thing is we have presets like default 65 millimeters or 35 millimeters or cinematic or this nostalgic bleach bypass or this particular nostalgic effect. I'm just going to leave it to clean, because I'm going to be applying the effects myself, okay? So I'm just going to select here maybe this particular, I think the one that I like is vintage. Perfect. Vintage obviously looks like a vintage shot. We can change the exposure, the contrast. Now, sometimes when we see a flashback, it's overexposed a little bit because it gives us this memory type of look. So let's increase the exposure, not too much, some more contrast. Let's reduce the contrast so it looks like a memory. We're just looking at a flashback. There you go. Kind of reduce the highlights so it doesn't look too overexposed. We can change the white balance so it looks like kind of warmish or more like cold. Normally, memories tend to be very warm, so we can add it to a warm-ish state like that. And now we can add some vignette if we want it. That's perfect. We can add some halation. Now, halation for me is one of those effects that impact the highlights that are very related to flashbacks. So I can add a lot of halation, also some bloom, and obviously one of the things that are important for a particular flashback is grain. We can add 35 millimeter or 65 millimeter or 60 millimeter grain, and we can add amount of grain. So just by doing that, let me just remove this. There you go. Just by doing that. Now the processing on this is I'm sharing my screen is going to kind of stuck, but now you can kind of see that was weird. You can now see, like, for example, here around his shoulder, like this is what halation does. And this is the type of effects that is perfect for a flashback. Now, as you can see, we're grabbing a well-created video from Google Video, and we're adding more effects to it. We're adding even more emotion to it. Now, also, we can add some effect. We go back to the edit page. We can add some transitions. Here on the effects tab, we have some video transitions. And we could add, for example, some sort of adaptive resolve or some blur dissolve in the middle of it. So you will have like that kind of effect where it's like whoosh, and it goes to the flashback, Now it does look like a flashback. This is the present memory. It has more contrast. It has more vibrant colors. We can even go back here and maybe add a little bit more of temperature, more cold temperature. So it doesn't look like it is the past. just by reducing the temperature, now the shot looks more less warm. So now this shot is more like a present shot. It doesn't look that warm. Now we go to the past shot. It's more warm. It has all of these effects. So now we're giving the film look that we wanted. This is exactly the combination of storytelling, technology, and post-production. Now, the last thing we're going to add the icing on the cake is a little bit of music. I have this song here that I'm going to drag and drop. And this song is going to give like more nostalgic to it. Perfect. And now here in this particular shot, this person is in some sort of a, a scenario where we kind of hear like marina effect. We can hear the water. We might hear some birds. That's not something that Google Video generated for us. So it's just finding, you can find that at YouTube or in Google. Just find, marina effect or ocean effects, like sound effects. This is just the sound of the ocean. So I'm going to drag and drop this here because in this shot, we change from this particular room and now we are here. Now here, where we go to this close-up scene, we want to reduce the amount of sound on the effects of the marina because we are getting close. We are getting particularly focused on the shot over there. So I'm going to make a cut and reduce the volume on this particular scene where we're just focusing on the bottle. This person is putting this piece of paper on this bottle, okay? Perfect. We don't hear a lot of the marina effects. We hear the sound effects from the video, which is him putting the piece of paper on the glass of water. And now we go back to the same levels here. Perfect. Beautiful. Now we just cut these final pieces of the sounds here. Boom. Now we kind of remove, we can extend it a little bit. And now we add a fade away effect here. Beautiful. Now we add some fades also on the sounds. There you go. And that's it. Now we just go to the export page. We tell it where we wanted to export it. Just going to put it on the desktop. Just give it a name, movie, whatever. And then I add it to the render queue and I render it. Now that's going to take some time. So that's why I'm not going to render it. But let's take a look at the final result. So let me just go back again to my browser, to my Google Chrome browser. Here it is. And no, actually, let me just share another screen. Let me find. Here it is. Now let's take a look at our final movie.
How could you do this? I sound like you don't have time to watch the guy. I thought you noticed. I did it for you.
Beautiful, isn't it? So in an hour, we just learned the basic structure of a correct storytelling prompt. We learn how to use Google Video, Google Gemini, and the Vertex API. And then we learn very quickly, obviously, the basics of DaVinci Resolve on how to bring the videos, glue them together, add some sound effects, add some music to it to have a final result that actually tells a story. Now, this is completely different to what we saw at the beginning in the first videos. So completely different. It has a meaning. It has a story. Maybe somebody who had some conflicts with their parent can relate to this particular film, and it can generate an emotion and maybe go back to talk to his father and forgive them or something like that. That's the type of things that move the world. This is the type of things that I like to do, not just crap and slop. So, with that said, thank you so much. That's what I wanted to show it to you. Again, if everything goes well and I get accepted for the final event in Vancouver, I'm going to be in person over there to explain this as a workshop. We'll go step by step. You'll be able to use your computer. I can help you with DaVinci Resolve. We'll learn a little bit more because the workshop might take a little bit more time. But if not, find me on LinkedIn. You can find Kevin Blanco on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to have other conversations around this topic. And if you have questions, just put them on the chat. I would like to know if you learned something, if you feel particularly interested about it, if you want to learn something else, maybe that if I go to Vancouver to explain this in person, if something you want to learn. But with that said, that's it for now. I don't know if you have any other questions right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. It was such a wonderful session. I was kind of very intrigued. This is very interesting. We have quite some time to go through some questions. So I think we have some questions here.
Okay.
I'm not able to see the. For Budh, could you please send your questions one at a time? I think there's like a resolution issue. I'm not able to
Yeah.
see the rest of his question.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to read all of the questions.
Yeah.
I see. Is the image generation resolution capped like
Yeah.
it is
Like
when
Nano
using Nano
Banana.
Banana in places like Gemini, or can we create high resolutions? You can create high resolution. That's the benefit of using the Vertex API. It gives you more control and it gives you more options because, like, see, everybody's using Google Nano Banana on the browser or on the application. Google has to reduce the resources for that. But if you use the Vertex API, you can ask for more, or you can generate. So here's the deal. Like, this is the fun part that I didn't mention. All of the things that I just show it to you, you can run them all together and have all of your clips done in just one single click. Like I explained it to you step by step, but now with the Google Colab done, you can just run all and it will run them step by step. So you don't have to do anything and you will have all of the scenes done in just one single click. Now, what's the beauty of this? I'm going to give you a business idea here. If you connect this to Google Agent Developer Kit or with NN8, which is like a workflow automation thing, you can generate this via code automatically. So for example, one of the things that some friends are doing is pulling some topics from Google Deep Research. I don't know, just a stupid example, politics. It pulls a specific subtopics about politics or about kids. You know, what are kids trying to learn today? These are the subjects. And so it ingests that to Gemini via the API with Vertex AI automatically without you doing anything. It generates the first scene and then goes to Veo, and it has a bunch of videos generated without you interfering as a human. So this friend of mine is creating videos for YouTube and is having like a ghost channel that is generating money without doing anything. Just download the scenes, stitch them together very quickly with CapCut or DaVinci Resolve, and it has a lot of videos generated automatically because it's code. That's the beauty of it. You know, we didn't do anything manually. So you can automate this with an agent or with something like that. So yes, long story short, it gives you more flexibility. The other question is, do we get more overall freedom in video generation using this compared to Flow? Yes. Or any other third-party apps? Yeah. Actually, all of these companies that you see video generation like Veed or like Runaway ML or all of these tools, they're just wrappers. What they do is basically what we just did. They have the code behind the scenes. They put a product on top of it and they generate videos and they control the prompts and they kind of upsell better prompting or like a framework. That's just a wrapper. Like all of these companies are just making money out of a wrapper of multiple models, you know, Sora or Google Veo or any of the other ones. Like literally, that's what they do. So yes, you have more freedom basically, and you have more control. Like I said, you cannot generate a 4K video in, for example, in vid.io without spending like a $29 plan, versus using your Google Cloud account. They will spend like $2 or maybe $1 out of just a single prompt. Those are the benefits. And the last question is, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I can read the last message. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be the cheapest way to generate compared to any other method. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. This will be the cheapest one. Like I did like maybe 20 examples before these presentations, and I should spend, like you saw it on the Google Cloud, like spend like $10. And I've done like maybe 20 examples of this just, for testing and fine tuning and improving my prompts. I haven't spent too much money. Have you used this workflow for 3D scenes, for 3D models, or animations in Google View? If so, what your recommendations can you make using the same workflow? Have this very similar setup generation, that's 3 DaVinci on Unity? That's great. I have not. What I did is, this is perfect for cartoons. I have done, for example, cartoons stories, and it's beautiful. Like it's really nice. It keeps the consistency. Like I created like a felt version of myself, and I created a story for my niece using myself, and it works out really great. It keeps the 3D consistency, but again, it all comes down to the prompt engineering. If you create a more realistic 3D prompt where it talks about the scene, the particular movement, the contrast, how do we say, like how everything feels in the scene. Like this is very important with 3D, and where is the light coming from? How is the light transitioning? Like again, the better director you are of your prompt, the better results you have. But yes, you can totally use that for 3D stuff. Yeah, I don't know if there's other question that I missed.
I think that's all the questions we got so far. Thank you, everyone, for staying on the call till the end. I know, like, it was such an intriguing talk. I could barely take my eyes off the screen.
That's great. So
Yeah.
yeah, and let me just put my very quickly my LinkedIn link on the chat,
Yes, please.
so everyone can have it.
Get in touch with Kevin.
And
Awesome.
let me just share the link of the repository so you can all have the link, download it. Again, please don't use my Google Cloud project. I will probably kill the Google Cloud project anyway, so I don't think it's going to work out, but just change your Google Cloud ID and that's it. Everything else should work. So yes, there is the LinkedIn profile. There is a Google Colab. And if you want to see more, talk to the organizer, say, hey, please accept Kevin's proposal for the Vancouver, so I can fly all the way from Costa Rica, which is where I am right now, to Vancouver.
I mean, I love your setup. It's so cool.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. If you have follow-up questions, please reach out on LinkedIn. But if not, I think that's it. Best of lucks. And I would like to see your results. Like if you try this out, put it on YouTube or on Google Drive, and I would love to see your end results. That would be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And before we all leave, I'd like to take a picture with everyone. So if that's okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to give everyone permission to be a presenter so that you can turn on your camera and then we can take a picture.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah. I'm just gonna do that. We've got 22 participants, so it's gonna take a second.
That's good. That's a good number of people.
Yeah, it's been a really good session. We've had nearly 20.
Oh, there's Margaret. Hey, Margaret.
Everyone, lots of familiar faces here.
Yeah.
There we go. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Michael.